I'm ready, man.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Hey there, Marvel fans. Is Charles Xavier really back?
Will Iron Fist and Sabretooth continue to get along?
Why is Loki shirtless?
All this and more on this week's episode of the 6 Month Behind podcast.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
What is up? This is the 6 Month Behind podcast for the week of 6/11/18. I am Pat.
And I am Sean.
And we love technology. And this week, we're Jay-Z and Beyonce because, they just decided to drop an album for, I don't know, just did.
Yeah, that no one can listen to because no one is subscribed to Tidal.
Apparently, it's on Spotify now, but I didn't bother looking for it.
So. Oh, okay. Is it? Okay, because for a minute it was a Tidal exclusive, and I was like, oh, they've dropped an album that no one's going to hear.
Yeah, that was the thing, yes. Or you can pay $9.99 to Tidal and download it for, which also gets you a month subscription. So you can just get a month subscription for downloading it.
Or if I'm going to pay $10 a month, why don't I just buy the album?
I don't know. That's kind of the point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you need to just cancel your dumb Tidal thing. It's failed. Jay-Z, you suck. Just go away.
You would almost think we've been sitting here for like an hour and 10, 20 minutes trying to get our technology to work, and we're in bad moods.
A little irritable, yeah.
Yeah, a little irritable. Yes, we've had a couple of technical difficulties.
Yeah. No, I just look. You've got Spotify, you've got Apple Music. There's no one else in the game that's playing. Not for real. You should either sell Tidal to Apple or Spotify and get out.
Yes.
No one's going to sign up for your crappy service.
I agree.
That no one is on.
Because the rest of the services out there are free and good.
Free or in terms of quality, better than Tidal will ever be.
Yes. Absolutely.
Anyway.
He tried.
Yeah. If you have opinions on music streaming services, you can email us at 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. That's the number 6monthsbehind@gmail.com.
The website is www.6monthsbehind.com, where you will find all these topics related to comic books talked about, but not the ones, we're not going to talk about Jay-Z and Beyonce there.
We might, if they ever decide to publish a comic book.
Well, that's true. That's true. Jim Cornette's publishing a comic book.
I don't know who that is.
He's a very famous wrestling manager.
Oh. That's why I don't know who he is.
Yeah. It's going to be Tales from the comic book world, or Tales from the Ring, but they're going to be written in comic books. It's kind of a mixture of two stories because his podcast is real popular, and a guy named Bruce Pritchard, who was in creative with WWE from like 95 to 2010, 2011 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Pritchard launched his podcast and it immediately had like 300,000 listeners. Eric Bischoff launched his podcast about a month ago, and it was the highest listened to podcast on Westwood One. So, and the WWE runs a cartoon where the guys just tell stories and act goofy. So what Cornette's doing is, crossing the podcast with the comic book, and there you go.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Dude, what's the deal with wrestling comic books? Like, Marvel's not publishing any, but some of the independent studios are, and I don't get it.
Dude, apparently they're popular enough that they're selling and people keep putting them out. That's all I can figure.
Okay. I just don't know how you make a comic book about wrestling, but
I mean, the WWE's been doing it for 20 years, man. And I don't know how you make the Kiss comic book and, make it about music, but somehow Marvel did, and it was successful.
There you go. Also, check out our other show, What's Next, where we talked about the comic book bust this past week, where in the 90s, the comic book industry just took a dive and kind of never really recovered.
Not really, no. not to the levels they want it to.
No, not at all. And just to let you guys know, we are going to discuss spoilers. So if you haven't read these books, pause now, come back later, and keep listening because we'll still be here.
Yeah, absolutely. You've been warned.
Yeah, you've been warned. We're going to jump straight into it this week with Astonishing X-Men number 6. Mike Del Mundo is doing the art on this book. He did both the cover and the interior art, and you know I really like Mike Del Mundo. The Shadow King and Xavier are still having this mental fight. So as we saw in the last issue, Xavier brought along Rogue, Phantom X, and Mystique into the astral plane or wherever they are in order to gain an advantage over the Shadow King. He brings them in. That occupies the Shadow King long enough that everybody who's under his control can break free, including Charles Xavier. Everyone's able to break free except the masses that he has enslaved in the streets of London. And the Ministry of Defense is still going to drop a nuclear bomb on London. So that's the crisis we have to avert now. However, it looks like Charles Xavier has taken up residence in the body of Phantom X, the physical body of Phantom X at this time. So is Charles Xavier back and in the body of Phantom X? I don't know.
You know, I haven't read ahead in this, but there are two questions. Number one, is that really Charles Xavier, which it appears to be by all accounts? Number two, he's been in the astral plane with Farouk, the Shadow King, for hundreds of years in their time. So is he insane?
Yeah, like how much of this is really Xavier and what has this experience left him with?
Yeah. So those are the two questions. Is it really Charles Xavier, and is he, or is he just insane? And I don't know the answer to that. I tend to think it's him, but he's gone crazy.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
We'll see. Anyway, it was good. I really enjoyed the guest art by Mike Del Mundo. Or maybe he's he's picking up art duties on this. I don't know.
I don't either. I tell you what else was good was X-Men Gold 17. And I think we discuss this every other week when this book comes out, but they've returned this book to the X-Men roots, actually got them in costumes again, which Logan's complaining about.
Mm-hmm.
They're off trying to save Kitty and Kurt. It's really entertaining. And the art's good. They go to this world, wherever it is. I think it's Detarius, I believe.
Something like that. Detarius,
whatever.
It's where the sharp-toothed alien guy is from, and where he's Hitler on that planet.
Yeah, and somehow they wound up, when they first get there, they wound up in the middle of a civil war, and they're not really sure which side to pick. And Kitty and Kurt are trapped in this castle, and they've done a pretty good job, because dude studied them and knows what their powers are. And at the end, you just trap Kurt in a room that he's not familiar with no walls, and he's not familiar with anything, and he can't see. And, he's pretty much screwed because he can't teleport out without teleporting into something, which, he kind of does to end of the issue. That's a great page too. There at the end.
Yeah, it's a good splash page that makes an ending for a good book. A good ending for the book.
Yeah, it's
in more ways than one.
Good color. That's true. Good color, good art. It looks good, man.
Yeah. Something else that was good was Iceman number 8. The meat of this book is older Bobby goes with younger Bobby to have dinner with their parents. And younger Bobby's super nervous, but his parents are real nice about it. And it basically turns into, hey, you're younger and more impressionable, so why don't you come live with us and you can pursue your dreams, and you've got a room in the house, you can take your old room back and all this. And like older Johnny's like, so did you guys just forget you had another son? He's actually really offended because his parents see this as an opportunity to make inroads for a second start and to be able to mold Bobby in the way they want him to be rather than the way he's turned out. And so, him and his dad start arguing. Bobby gets nervous and ices up at the table. They're able to thaw him out. And then younger Bobby says, look, you know what? This is not how this is going to go. I am who I am. I'm going to be out about it, and you're not going to try to manipulate me here. So they go back to Xavier Mansion. Older Bobby's boyfriend shows up. Also, Dakin's in this issue, and I don't know. We saw him in an earlier issue of this series, but last we saw Dakin, he was running around with one arm, so I don't know what that's about.
I guess his healing factor eventually regrew it. I don't know.
Well, he's supposed to be running around with Laura Kinney fighting the
whatever
Orphans of X, and in this one he's enacting petty crimes in Japan or something.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, I don't know why he has to be in the story at all. If you left out the literally 3 pages that Dakin's in this, you'd have not missed anything at all.
You'd like to think they're going somewhere, maybe. Hopefully.
Well, let's hope so.
Yeah. Next in our Spider-Man books, we have Spider-Man 235. And as we've often discussed, this book isn't for me because Miles Morales and Gold Balls are having issues with some girl, and I really don't care. I just...
You really hate this teenager stuff, don't you?
I really do, man. Now, but at the same time, they've got this Sinister Six stuff going on where Miles's uncle has bought the Iron Spider costume that Tony Stark designed back during the original Civil War.
Yeah.
And he's got that, and he's put together the Sinister Six, with the Sandman. I think that guy's called the Spot. I forget what he's called, but anyway, all that's pretty cool. The Rhino's there. The Red Hulk asleep is just hilarious. So it's an entertaining book, and of course it leads up to them fighting, or I should say the Rhino fighting Miles Morales, not Spider-Man, because he's not putting on his costume anymore. Costume, that's the French word for it, for whatever reason, because he's stupid. I don't know. It's one of those teenage things or something. Who knows? But anywho, so then they work out all the girl issues, and then we get back to the Sinister Six. So it actually wasn't bad. I just I don't care, man.
I got you. I understand. I'm souring on this book a little bit just because he's waffling on this whole Spider-Man thing. It's like, dude, you're Spider-Man. Any other kid would kill to be Spider-Man, but you're sitting here going, maybe I don't want to be Spider-Man. Maybe I want to be Kid Arachnid or something stupid. So
I'm with you.
Yeah, you're just being a spoiled teenager, dude. Get over it.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on, we have Amazing Spider-Man Venom #1, Venom Inc. #1. So apparently they're doing a Amazing Spider-Man Venom crossover. And this is the one-shot intro book into that crossover.
Dude, it is just Venom book after Venom book after Venom book, because apparently they're selling very well and they're going to keep them coming. Not just the regular Venom series, but all these ancillary Venom books.
Yeah, Venomverse, this, a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
They're expanding the who has symbiotes and all that stuff, man.
Yeah.
So,
anywho,
long story short, somebody's stealing symbiotes in New York City. And Flash Thompson goes to Peter Parker asking for Spider-Man's help in figuring out what's going on. Flash is having issues controlling the symbiote, so he goes to Alchemax to get his medicine, where Eddie Brock is having issues. Flash Thompson shows up later. I can't keep the two straight because they're both the same person to me. They were both people that beat up on Peter Parker in high school. So to
Eddie
me,
Brock wasn't, was he?
Yeah, Eddie Brock.
I thought Eddie Brock was a reporter with the Daily Bugle.
I don't know. Either way, they both hated Peter Parker a long time ago and both became Venom at some point.
Yes.
So Flash Thompson follows Eddie Brock up to the lab. The doctor at the lab tells him, "Hey, I'll give you your medicine, but we've also found like a cure thing for the symbiote. It keeps the symbiote in check." Flash Thompson shows up. The symbiote. You have that like this argument between the two of them, and the symbiote can't decide which one it wants to go to, Flash or Eddie. Spider-Man knocks over the vat of the white goo, and everybody turns into anti-venom. Meanwhile, somebody's using stolen symbiotes to create a gang of Venom dudes. And this is all going to cross over into Amazing Spider-Man and Venom over the next, I don't know, 4 or 5 issues.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad. It was actually pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, this Venom stuff's real popular. It's there you go.
Yeah. Then we have with our 2 Inhumans books this week, Once and Future Kings. Christopher Priest is writing this, and I like it enough. But man, this story is just kind of like, why bother? All the Inhuman kids are reunited and decide to go confront the king of the Inhumans, and Black Bolt's going to be king at some point, and everybody lives happily ever after, and the slave people are freed or something. I don't know. There's a funny little lockjaw story at the end.
I think that's what you said about the last couple of issues.
Yeah, it's been okay. This is the last issue, so praise God.
There you go. Black Bolt number 8. First, there's Christian Ward, who is doing the art and the colors in it. And while I'm not a fan of his style of art, what do you call this style of art? I don't know.
I don't know.
But I really enjoy the colors and the way the whole thing pops. So I do get that. That's really cool.
To me, that's the best part of this book is the art.
Yeah.
It's the only reason that's keeping me reading this. Otherwise, I wouldn't bother.
Right. So, anywho, I'm going to recap for like 15 seconds. This Royals, the other Inhumans book, started with sending Maximus to prison and Black Bolt being with the Inhumans. And in issue 2 or 3 of Royals, what we found out was that Maximus had impersonated Black Bolt. They really sent Black Bolt to the prison, and Maximus went with the Inhumans, which is how he's running around in the Royals book. And Black Bolt's been in prison for 8 issues. So, after dying and coming back to life and dying and coming back to life for a few months, he's finally back on Earth with Blinky, the little kid who can see things. And Blinky's pretty freaked out by Earth. Then they go to New Attilan, and when he gets there, everyone assumes that it's Maximus still impersonating Black Bolt. That's what they assume. So, there's some arguing and yelling and screaming and fighting. And then finally, everything gets calmed down. They get a healer to heal everybody. Blinky, Lockjaw, Black Bolt. He has some words with his son Uhura, and he doesn't really know what to do when Black Bolt hugs him, because apparently Black Bolt's not much of a touchy-feely guy. And then they go find is it Tundra? Is that her name? I believe Titania.
Titania, yeah.
Yeah, and she is not happy. The giant lady, because Black Bolt's going to explain to her that her husband's dead, and that's going to go really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you had grown up in a cage like Black Bolt did, as we saw in this Once and Future Kings series, you probably wouldn't be real touchy-feely either.
Right.
Yeah. Avengers 674. The Avengers are going to the center of this counter-Earth in order to stop it from phasing with regular Earth. On the way there, Vision reveals to Viv why he's been so weird with her lately. He finds out that he's going to live a long time, but she's going to die, apparently. While they're there at the center of the Earth, it turns out the High Evolutionary imprisoned his own son down here because his son wanted to save the animal people, instead of using them as experiments, and wanted to treat them like real people. they have to go through him to get to the controls that are controlling the Earth phasing. And at the end, Viv sacrifices herself in order to stop the Earths from phasing into one another.
Yeah. It's a good issue, man.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Yeah. And by the way, if you don't, make sure you go all the way to the end, because the end is not the end.
Yeah. That's something Marvel is doing in some of these books is it's,
yeah, I mean,
it's part of the legacy thing. Like you get the end of the book, the letters page, and then there'll be 2 or 3 or 4 pages. Because some of them they're doing it to introduce the characters. Some of it they're doing to bring Wolverine back. Dude, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me.
It's the comic book version of the scene at after the credits.
Yes.
Yeah, that's working in the movies, so they're trying to make the comic books more like the movies.
Yeah, so just, when you think you're at the end, click on the page number and see if there's any page numbers left.
Yeah.
Yeah. That brings us to our 616 books, the first one of which is Captain America 696.
I really enjoyed this book.
Did you? I actually did. I just hated the art.
I don't understand why you don't like good art, but
this isn't good art.
Dude, it's Chris Samnee's art and it's great.
Okay. As we've done about 6 times in the last 2 hours, we'll agree to disagree.
Okay. It's a thing with you. I always am like, oh, this art's great. And you're like, it sucks. And I'm like, dude, whatever. You like a very particular type of art. And when it doesn't conform to that, you don't like it.
Not really. That's not true. That wasn't true in that Black Bolt book.
I mean, but you hated the art in this Black Bolt book for the last 7 issues.
It's grown on me. But it's still not my style. I mean, it's still not the photorealistic style of Mike Deodato or Alex Ross or someone like that.
Yeah,
I understand. And this is about as far as you can get from that as possible. So, anywho, this is a throwback to Captain America in the mid 70s when he was disillusioned with the Vietnam War and became nomad and took off across the United States, just him and Falcon on a motorcycle. Now we're doing it again. So it's him on a motorcycle. We just kind of touring the United States. He comes into this small town where he's a hero, even though he, just overthrew America. What?
Sorry. No, I just, a headline popped across my screen and I didn't mean to say that out loud.
Don't read the headlines, man, because it freaks you out bad enough when we're not on there.
No, it popped up as a notification, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
My CNN tweets do that.
Yeah.
Anywho, so he's there in a small town. He's a hero. Everybody knows he's there. Of course, the Swordman.
Yeah, Swordmaster.
Anyway, He's there, and he's convinced that Captain America is there to get him. So he goes and hijacks the dam and threatens to, blow the dam up, flood the little town, flood all the other little towns. It's not, of course, Captain America saves the day. It's not bad. And the art improves in these fight scenes. But when it's just, people sitting in a restaurant, it's like a square box and 3 lines, man. Come on. But it's a good issue. It's returning Captain America to his roots.
Yeah, it really feels like an old school Captain America comic where he's just riding through, every town USA and saves the day from the local villain.
Which he is, yeah.
Yeah, it feels like it's that, but just updated for modern times. It's really good.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I really enjoyed this. And the bit at the end, like, I don't normally read the letters pages, but Mark Waid's doing this thing with this book where he's talking about what Captain America means to him at the end of it. And in this one, it's guessed by one of the Marvel editors. And it's a really good story. So those are, for those who don't normally read the backup stuff, like the letters pages or anything that isn't just the comic book, take a glance at this one.
Okay. I actually didn't. I just blew by it, but I'll go back and look at it.
Yeah, it's good. VC Carnegie, one of the editors, I forget. Anyway, Doctor Strange number 382. So Doctor Strange has got this beagle spying for him. and he's cast a spell on the beagle so that the beagle can understand English and that we can understand dog. And because, Doctor Strange stopped being Sorcerer Supreme and he's a vet now. So Doctor Strange is like examining this cat with his family, and he's talking to the family, and all of a sudden the dog barges in. He's like, hey, anyway, Loki's up to this stuff, and he's, you probably want to take a look at this. And Doctor Strange is like, I'm with a patient right now. Can you just wait in my office and we'll talk about it in a minute? And the family's like totally freaked out of this talking dog.
Yeah, the dog's like, oh, did I do it again? Yeah, you did. Can you just go wait in the office? Yeah.
It occurs to me this is the Gabriel Hernandez's art, and this is the same person that did that Vision series a while back.
I enjoyed the art in that. I'm not looking at it at the moment, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah. So Loki's looking for the spell of Sing Soon, which is basically a nuclear launch button of spells. Turns out Doctor Strange found that a long time ago and bound it to the soul of the people he cares about, which at this time is Zelma Stanton, and Zelma Stanton's hanging out with Loki, who through this entire issue will not put on a shirt.
At Loki, not Zelma Stanton.
Yeah, no, Loki's not wearing a shirt.
Right.
Did I say Zelma?
You said them both together, so it was which one wasn't wearing a shirt. Yeah.
At some point, Loki's trying to open this door that Doctor Strange put something behind, which I'm pretty sure is the thing he keeps in the basement.
By the way, there's a good movie reference there, because Thor Ragnarok is now on Netflix, and Loki's got the two machine guns, and it's Des and Troy, and he starts to say, hey, don't you realize these are machine guns that, and then he gets cut off.
Yeah. And he's just shooting the door with magic machine guns, wearing those yellow gloves that Doctor Strange wore for so many years. And no shirt. So they're trying to get that door open. Doctor Strange shows up. Apparently Loki and Zelma are a thing now, and it looks like Doctor Strange is jealous. He's not. The problem is that Loki, having fallen in love with Zelma Stanton, is close to unlocking this spell because it's bound to her soul. So he shows up at the house. They don't take well to him showing up. Zelma's like, hey, I haven't seen you in forever. Where have you been? You're a jerk. He and Loki get into a little fight. Loki is now wearing the cloak of levitation and the gloves and still no shirt. The dog dies. It's very sad.
Dude, don't blow past the dog dying. The dog had a heart attack.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was very sad.
The dog starts barking at Loki because he attacked Doctor Strange and then has a heart attack, and it's sad.
And apparently a lot of people who do listen to Rob's Comic Explained, or I should say watch his videos.
Yeah.
Apparently there's a lot of people who read their comics 6 months behind like us, because last week he posted several tweets like, they killed the dog. How could they kill the dog? Everybody loved the dog. He was the best part of the story.
He was in one issue.
I love the dog, man. The dog was great.
Yeah. Okay.
The dog was great, man. Why'd you have to kill the dog?
Because you needed to have a sense of loss. You needed the stakes to mean something.
I like the dog, man.
Dude, from the time the dog walked in the door, I could have told you the dog was going to die.
I like the dog, man. He's a whole lot more entertaining than Pizza Dog.
You take that back.
No.
Lucky's great. He shows up in Hawkeye later. You'll see. Anyway, so Stephen, in desperation to get this spell back from Loki, climbs a mountain to find a house standing on top of a very tall mountain. And he goes to meet this guy, Robert. He says, look, I need your help. And Robert's like, you promised me we wouldn't do this. And he was like, yeah, I know, but I need your help. And he thumps him on the forehead and says, I need the sentry. And, oh, this is how the sentry comes back.
How did Robert wind up there?
Apparently, Doctor Strange imprisoned him there a long time ago.
I thought he died back during Dark Reign or something.
I don't know.
But
apparently, there's something we missed.
Robert was happy there and didn't want to be disturbed.
No.
Yeah. I'm with you.
It was a cool reveal at the end.
It was. And he's going to play a major part in the Marvel Universe in the next year or so. So,
yeah, I mean, at least they're bringing him back for a reason and not just like, oh, the Sentry's back and then he's useless or there's no point to him. At least they're bringing him back and then they do something with him.
Sure. I'm with you. Guardians of the Galaxy 148. There's an interesting premise here because the Guardians infiltrated the Nova Corps. So they're all dressed up as Nova Corps members. And somehow Rocket Raccoon can pass for a Nova Corps member, but Drax can't. Because the guys he with immediately know it's Drax. And these 3 or 4 guys were supposed to have killed Thanos by throwing him into a black hole. And Drax knows they didn't. And then there's a couple of refugees on this planet who were inflicted with the Ultron virus. And they want to kill him so the virus doesn't spread. Drax makes a mental telekinetic communication with a woman and doesn't allow him to kill him. One of the dudes threatens Drax and says, hey, man, everybody knows you're a pacifist these days. And Drax like, pacifist this, okay?
Right.
Anybody else want some? No. Okay, didn't think so. So then he sends them on the way. They found the spies, and then Drax is kind of sad at the end because he was going to play a saxophone, but he can't just bring himself to do it. And I have no idea what's going on with Groot at the end of this thing.
Yeah, me either.
I don't. I mean, he's seems to be demon possessed. Cosmo comes out, he's on nowhere. So Cosmo, the Russian cosmonaut dog, comes out and shoots him with something. And I don't know. Is it go back to that Gardner thing a few issues back?
Probably.
I guess. I don't know, man. This book's hard to follow.
It is very hard to follow.
Well, I mean, they've got a lot of plot threads going, and it's hard to keep up with all of them and stay on track.
It's starting to take on that Peter David syndrome.
I'm glad you've named it.
Yeah, where you have 1,000 characters and nobody knows who anybody is, and there's all these plot threads, and you're just like, what's happening? Why are we in? Okay, now we're in 2099. I still don't know what's happening.
I'm with you.
Yeah. Hawkeye number 13. Do you remember the Generations issue of where Kate and Clint were running around on that island?
Yeah.
You remember the blue-haired lady at the end that was trying to kill Clint?
Yes.
Her name was Eden Vale. She's still trying to kill Clint. That's why Clint shows up and needs Kate's help.
Okay.
At the end, she kidnaps Kate and says, hey, you're going to kill Clint Barton. And she's like, why? And she says, because I can bring your mother back to you if you do. So there's your cliffhanger for the issue. It's actually a really good book. I'm soft selling it, but it's good.
Yeah. So Iron Fist 75. This whole thing started out because somebody was using the Constrictor's armor, outfit, costume, whatever, and Sabretooth didn't approve. So we pick up where we left off last issue with Sabretooth and Danny Rand fighting the Serpent Society. Now, I hate it when writers do this, which I think it was Nick Spencer spent about a year building up the Serpent Society as good A-list villains there in Captain America and the Falcon. I think it was in both books, and they were like corporate people and, really used their powers well, and they were good. Okay. In this issue, you have the Serpent Society, and Sabretooth and Iron Fist go through them in like 3 minutes. And I just hate seeing that happen. You just took them from D-list to A-list back to D-list again. It's irritating. So, anywho, Lin Shu, no pun intended, is trying to get away with the book that opens the way to Kun Lin. He gets out. Danny and Sabretooth want to go after him, except Sabretooth wants to figure out who the Constrictor is, which they do. Turns out it's the original Constrictor's son, who Sabretooth knew. Sabretooth gets him to the hospital so he can try and save himself. Meanwhile, Lin Shu takes somebody's hand. God bless him, that he's been carrying around this dead dude's hand for a couple hundred years. I don't know. Anyway, he takes the hand and activates the book, which opens the door to Kunlun, and then Sabretooth and Iron Fist drag him in there. Yeah. It's a good book. Enjoyed the art. It's a good story. It really is a good story.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, this Iron Fist book has been good since they relaunched it, not 174 issues ago, but 8 or 10 issues ago, whenever it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm really enjoying the Spirit of Vengeance book. This is issue number 3. So as we find out, this has all been some sort of for the last 2 issues, it's some sort of struggle between angels and demons, the continuous struggle. And we find out that every 1,000 years they get together and have a parlay. Everywhere else is free game, but once every 1,000 years they come together to discuss terms. So it turns out that the 30 silver coins that Judas exchanged Jesus' life for became cursed after that. And someone has stolen those coins, Necrodamus, who's the main bad guy in this thing, and intends to forge them into a weapon to kill the Archangel Michael at this parlay. That's the whole thing going on with this. And he's got 29 of the 30 pieces. They're looking for the last piece, and that's what Hellstrom and Blade and all them are trying to figure out, the location of the last piece and how to get to it before Necrodamus can. It's really cool.
That sounds like it.
I get into this stuff, man, like the angels and demons and the occult and curses and all the supernatural stuff. I really enjoy stuff like that.
Well, see, the difference between me and you is I'm not into that, and you're not into Gwenpool 23.
No, it's okay. I actually didn't read it this week because I ran out of time, but the Gwenpool's been all right.
Well, it continues. Again, I'm not a fan of the artist. It's not terrible. It's just, not my thing. But she's fighting Dr. Doom, and a few pages in, she does what she does, which is basically throw him off the panel of the comic book. Now, if you don't understand that, you just need to back up a few issues and read it. Okay, because Gwen is from a reality where she knows that the 616 universe is a comic book and everything's made up. So I want to pause for a second with the recap, because there's a box on page 9 where she's trying to call the Avengers and tell them that she's disposed of Dr. Doom. And she gets their answering machine. If this is an emergency, hang up, dial 911. To learn more about the Heroes Volunteering Program, press 2. To do this, press 3. If you are unsure of whether you are in a prime reality, an alternate reality, or a dark reality, press the middle button in the dial pad, no matter which number it is to you in this world. Dude, it was a great line, man. And then Dr. Doom comes back and they start fighting, and I'll explain how Dr. Doom comes back in a moment. They start fighting, and there's a couple of bystanders there trying to call the Avengers, and they get the same answering service.
That's funny.
It is pretty funny, man. It is pretty funny. Well, she eventually beats this Dr. Doom, and they wind up in her comic book plane together, where the real Dr. Doom comes along and takes him out. Now, don't ask me where the 2 Dr. Dooms came from. I don't know, but this is Victor Von Doom, the guy we've been seeing in the current Iron Man issues. And he disposes of the other Dr. Doom pretty quick, and then Gwenpool sits down and explains to him what's really happening, which is a while back, she had a lot of issues and pages in front of her. And when she looks into the future now, and she and Dr. Doom are standing there, and they're both like, look, this is just another dimension. Okay. We're just, we're occultists. We jump from dimension to dimension. That's what this is. This is just another dimension. And what she realizes is she's been canceled. So she only has 2 issues left. Okay.
Yeah.
After this one. All right. What's the joke there, my man?
The comic is actually canceled. It only has 2 issues left.
Yes, so she sees the page running out, so she's trying to do something so the writers will keep writing her book. And she thought if she disposed of Doctor Doom, they wouldn't cancel her book in 2 issues. And
that's funny.
Victor's like, no, this is just another dimension, and it doesn't work like that. So, but I can expand it by becoming a supervillain, but I don't want to be a supervillain. So there you go. Victor's like, well, just be true to yourself. And at the end, Gwen makes her decision as to whether or not to be a supervillain.
Okay,
it's entertaining and it's funny because Dr. Doom's like, look, you just got to realize this isn't what you think it is. This is just another reality. It's just another dimension. And she's like, oh, okay. Yeah. She kind of bums her out because she's still getting canceled in 2 issues.
Yeah.
It was very entertaining.
The series has been up and down for me, but it's really hit a stride in the last 5 issues or so.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer because now it's getting canceled.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Oh, well. But she's going to show up in that West Coast Avengers book that nobody wants. So
I do.
You're the only soul I know who wants a West Coast Avengers book.
I will find the sales figures and we'll discuss it next week.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
All right. Moving on to Star Wars, we have Darth Vader #9, this awesome Darth Vader series by Charles Soule. Did you know Charles Soule used to be an immigration lawyer?
No. I know he's doing a great job writing this, and Salvador Larroca is doing a great job drawing it.
Oh, well, Salvador Larroca is not drawing it, but okay.
I thought he did.
No, Giuseppe Camuncoli has been doing it.
He must be doing the regular Star Wars book. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's doing the regular book. Either way, the art
this is great art. Either way.
By the way, it's Joe Caramagna is at the end of that Captain America book. He's the letterer here. He's at the end of that Captain America book. So in last issue, Darth Vader had figured out the Jedi was on the planet. He goes to the Jedi Temple, and one of the troopers is like, nobody's come in or out of the temple. We'd know. And he's like, yeah, okay. I'm going in.
You're an idiot.
Yeah, you're an idiot. You're a stupid clone. Go away. Inside the Jedi archives, Jocasta and the Inquisitor are duking it out with their lightsabers. Where we find out the Inquisitor is actually a former Jedi. In fact, one that Jocasta knew very well. He's about to kill Jocasta when Darth Vader stops him. And then, the Inquisitor's all like, what are you doing? Why are you stopping me? And he's like, listen, it doesn't matter why I'm stopping you. I'm stopping you because I said so. And if you don't put your saber away, I'll kill you. Which gives Jocasta just enough time to escape. She deletes the entirety of the Jedi archive. So all of that knowledge is now lost to the ages. She goes off to that special secret archive that she kept. Turns out that robot that she had guarding it's pretty formidable. So he slows Darth Vader down for a little while, which gives her just enough time to shoot him with some sort of lightsaber gun. And it looks like they're going to duke it out in the next issue.
Yeah, good issue, man.
Yeah, it was really good. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Yeah,
the whole Darth Vader series has been good.
Yeah, it's definitely up there for one of my books of the week, and it's one of the books that I really enjoy reading every time it comes out. I forget if it's coming out weekly. I mean, every other week or monthly. But dude, it's a good read whenever it comes.
I think it's twice a month right now.
I think it is too, but I know it's popping up a lot. It's a good read, man.
I know it was my favorite book this week. I know that.
It's a toss up between X-Men Gold 17, Doctor Strange 382, and that Darth Vader book. But I'm going to go with the X-Men Gold 17 because maybe it's just me, but it seems like it was before the No More Mutants saga, which was called what?
House of M.
House of M, thank you. That the X-Men have been the X-Men. And that was what, 15 years ago?
Yeah,
12 years ago?
At least.
That we've gotten these kind of X-Men stories. I mean, it was the 198, then it was Cyclops going crazy and trying to, setting up Utopia and or Magneto and Cyclops fighting for control of the X-Men and,
and
Cyclops
X-Men
dying.
Avengers and
AVX, IVX, dude. And now you're just, particularly with this X-Men Gold issue, There's some good stuff coming in X-Men Blue too, but particularly with this X-Men Gold book, they're just back to telling good classic X-Men books, and I'm really enjoying it.
It's just the X-Men being the X-Men. This specifically reminds me of all the time they spent in space with the Shi'ar.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Or the time they fought, they were there fighting the Brood, on multiple occasions. I mean, it's just
is it the Starjammers?
Yeah,
yeah,
dude. It's just classic X-Men, and I don't know why they deviated from this formula for a decade.
It got stale for a while, and they
apparently.
Anyway, mine was Darth Vader. Close runner-up was that Spirit of Vengeance #3.
There you go.
In the dump this week, we have Avengers and Squadron Supreme Annual. Thor: The Legend 1-3 is some miniseries from the 90s. ForceWorks 13 and 15 for some reason.
Dude, it's ForceWorks. Come on, man. We're going to get more next week.
I don't even know what ForceWorks is.
It is Tony Stark at one point moved Stark International to the West Coast and set it up there and basically hired the West Coast Avengers to be his private army, and they became ForceWorks.
Okay. We have Captain Marvel #1, both from the 1989 series and the 94 series. So there's that. Power Pack #46, not 45 and 47, just 46. Web of Spider-Man 37, not 36 or 38, just 37. And Masters of Kung Fu 39-49, as well as Marvel Feature 4-10, which I think is the original. That's where Ant-Man began, or he's featured in this? I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's where Scott Lang as Ant-Man begins. And those Marvel Features were a good book for a long time. They were. Next week we'll talk about that Captain Marvel book, because it's really, there's an interesting tale from Marvel, the Marvel universe that we'll talk about. Peter David was writing it, and Marvel was bankrupt at the time. And anyway, we'll talk about it.
Okay, cool. Well, that'll pretty much wrap us up this week. If you want to get in touch with us, you can email us at 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. That's the number 6monthsbehind@gmail.com.
The website is www.6monthsbehind.com, where you can find information on the most recent What's Next, which was the Comic Bust. I've got links there to all the Image books and what that happened during the Comic Bust. And dude, I hadn't forgotten how good some of those books were. It wasn't that they were bad. It was just nobody was buying comic books. Those were good books, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And also follow us on Twitter at 6monthsbehind. That'll pretty much do it. Pat, do you have some wisdom to leave us with before we go?
Socrates said, "The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing."
That is some true wisdom.
Yep.
I think. I don't really know.
There you go.
See you guys next week.
Peace.